Do you sometimes feel very sad? So down that you would not want to do anything anymore. You don't want to eat, you don't want to sleep, you don't want to shower. A part of you wants to do that, but you just cannot find yourself doing it. Most times we fall into a deep sense of sadness that we lose interest to do basic things that we used to enjoy. We don't want to come out anymore. That is called depression. Depression oftentimes arises from disappointment or maybe loss of a loved one. But most times, depression is when things go south, sideways. The plans we had is not coming the way we wanted it to, or it didn't even happen at all. Now, sometimes we have the mindset to say, okay, things did not go as planned. How do we, start all over again, re-strategize? But for some people, when we face disappointment in terms of business, finances, love life, marriages, it's also so much that we just dive into that state of sadness, and next thing, depression sets in. We're addicted to one thing or the other, and we're losing interest in life. Now, most times it's because of disappointment, and disappointment arises when things did not go as planned. Now, I want us to work on planning. What is planning? How to plan properly? How to prepare for worst case scenarios, so that when things don't go as planned, we have to have other ways, other strategies, plan A, plan B, plan C, that would come and help us. Now, what is planning? Planning is simple. What are those goals, visions, and ambitions you have for next year, for next 5 years? Write them down. Then have a course of action on how to get to those goals, those ambitions. Is it finances? Is it marriage? Is it relocation? Whatever you want to do, you have to write them down, know what it is you want to do, and then have a course of action into achieving that. That is planning. Now, in order to do this in a very easy way, I want us to work on a template called the 5 W's and H, where the first W is you that wants to plan. Who are you? My name is Evelyn Mortega, and I am the who. I want to plan for next year. That is who I am. Have I outlined my strengths and weaknesses? Because in planning, you need to know that there are certain things that you can do or you cannot do. You might want to outsource some other tasks, other things you can do it yourself. But you need to examine the who, that is you. Okay? When you determine who you are, what are your ambitions? What are your goals? Who is me? Who is Evelyn Mortega? Now, when you're done doing that, you have to now ask yourself, what does Evelyn Mortega wants to achieve? That is, put your name in place of my name. What do I want to achieve in life? What are my goals for next year? What are my goals for the next 5 years? That is now how to identify what you want to do. After you identify what you want to do, you want to come back again and ask Evelyn Mortega who wants to do this and that. For example, Evelyn Mortega wants to grow a social media page. Evelyn Mortega wants to reach out to a lot of people, creating awareness for depression. Evelyn Mortega wants to put smiles on people's faces for next year. Now, that is who and that is what. The next thing we're going to outline is, why do I want to do that? Now, the why is very important in planning, because the why answers the path towards what you want to do. Because when you're brainstorming, that is thinking about ideas on planning, on how to achieve that goals, the why answers your straight path. The why tells you why you're doing this, the motivation behind it, That way it drives you forward and you know what you're doing. Are you doing this because other people are doing it? Are you doing this because you got bored? Are you doing this because you're pressured? Now, the why might even help you to arrange your plans. Because if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, that why will now come and help you to do it for the right reasons. When you're done with who am I, what I'm going to do, why I want to do it, the next thing you want to ask yourself is, where would I do it? Now, for example, my name is Evelyn Mortiga. I want to create awareness for mental health and depression. That is the what. Why am I doing it? Because I've seen a lot of people are being sad, they're being depressed, they're committing suicide, they're losing their track and focus in life. And for that reason, I want to create awareness for mental health and depression. Now, that is my what, that is my who, and that is my why. Now, the next question is, where do I want to do this? I want to do it on social media. I want to do it on radio. I want to do it on TV. I want to do it on billboards. I want to host seminars. I want to have sensitization across the state. Now, that is where. Amaka, you want to create awareness. Where do you want to do it? You don't know. You want to open a shop by January, February. Where you want to do it, I don't know. You need to know your where. Now, once you've answered those 4 W's, the most important one is when. For every plan you must have, you need to have a deadline for it. That way, you're not just moving forward without knowing what dates, what time to preset for yourself. With deadlines, it gets you on your toes. With deadlines, it helps you to plan properly. With deadlines, you know that you're not gonna slack. Now, oftentimes, when you just plan without putting a deadline, there are opportunities that might come your way that you would not even have to grab because you do not know that this is the time for it. When you put a when to your plan, if there are side distractions coming from left and right, you are focused on your plan. You know that by 27th of September, I should have achieved this, I should have achieved that. When somebody comes and tells you something to go and do in August, I know that my deadline is in September, you should be able to say, no, I can't do that. My schedule is tight. Now, that is when the when comes to play. How? How do I do it? Now, I have planned. I've written down my goals. I know where to do it. I know when to do it, but I don't know how to go about it. Now, this is where you have to now take it one step at a time. How is very important when it comes to planning. How do I achieve my goals? Do I want to do it by raising funds? For example, I want to open a supermarket next year, but I know right now I don't have the funds for it. Do I start writing proposals for investors? Do I look for joint partnerships? Do I go to banks for loans? Do I solicit with my family members for finances? How? I want to go to abroad next year. How? What have you put in place? How do you want to achieve that? Do you want to go and get scholarship? Do you want to go for studies? Do you want to go and get married to somebody abroad? So say, okay, I have this guy that has been talking to me, but if I marry him, maybe that's my opportunity. But you need to get your house straight. I'm not saying go and marry because of abroad. I'm just saying that there are other ways you can achieve other things. Now, after doing all your 5 W's and H, listen, I'm not saying that this will make your plan actually come to pass in the way you thought about it, because plans has plan A, plan B, in the sense that plan A is to succeed, plan B might get you to where you want to go but not to the place you want to go. Now, I want us to have in mind that when you plan, you can have other things that can pop up that can either push your plan forward or even deviate you from a plan totally. But that doesn't mean it's a bad thing necessarily, because when that happens, You'll be like, okay, this was my plan, but it's not what I thought I wanted, but why not? For example, I planned on going to the UK next year. I'm working on a visa. I want to go for studies. I've started writing some exams, whatever I needed to do for next year. I've started doing it. Now, I wanted to plan to travel when? September. By July, I got a job offer that is paying me 5 million naira. What do I do? Do I say, oh, because I have planned I must go abroad, I will turn down this job offer? No. I will take the job offer. I will pause my traveling because opportunity is opportunity. Now, other types of things can happen when you're planning. For example, I want to marry Amaka, but once I was dating Amaka, I found out that Amaka started fighting me. Before I say ABC, Amaka has slapped me. Amaka has shown me signs of domestic violence. And then I met Chidera. Chidera is very calm, it's very nice. Although my wedding is meant for Amaka for next year, what can I do? I have to marry Chidera instead. Now, yes, you plan to marry. You're not marrying the same person. Now, these are all examples. I'm not saying to go and disappoint Amaka, unless, of course, like I said, she's showing signs of abuse. When all this is happening, you need to get yourself prepared for war. In the army, you go to training, you do recruitment, you pass, you go to office. From office, you go and learn how to do this, do that, you learn the administration part. Later, if there's no peace in the country, you have to carry gun and go to war. Now, the same thing applies to planning your life. Yes, you were born as a tabula rasa, empty slate, no problem. You grew up, you started saying one or two issues, you have your ambitions, but now all this planning might not go as planned. In economics, there's a popular term we used to use called ceteris paribus. What this means is, all things being equal, when you are planning, you need to have room for, in case you don't go as planned. Ceteris paribus just come to tell you that, yes, you are planning this, but it might not go as planned. Oh. I'm not saying that planning will be 100% as you thought it would be, even with your 5 W's and H. I'm saying that there are sometimes, as you're planning, you should get your mind ready for war. What is that war I'm talking about? It might not go as planned. There's economic situation going on. After you've sat down, you've planned everything, something will happen someday. Recently, we saw the demolition going on in Lagos and other states, Abuja and the likes. What if the shop you had gone to pay for is in one of these buildings and they came to demolish it? What will you do? It's not the end of the world. That is where planning comes in. Now, in planning, you have to have plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, to Z. Why? When this plan goes sideways, you that want to go and open a shop and maybe something happened to the money you wanted to use, or one thing led to another, kiniko, one person swallow nail. There are a lot of things that can go wrong. You need to now say, okay, I have my items I want to sell. Should I sell them online? Should I go and get a canopy? Now you start brainstorming. Brainstorming is a process whereby you yourself and your brain sit down together, bring out a board, and start bringing out ideas one by one. It mustn't be just you. You can have trusted friends, or you can have people that you know are very intelligent that can help you brainstorm. Now, this process is very crucial in planning. Bring a board, write things down. Say, okay, today I want to brainstorm. Again, what is brainstorming? Brainstorming is where you, as the owner of business, you as the owner of your life, sit down with yourself or people around you that, again, are focused. Say, okay, today this is what we want to achieve. We'll write it down. For example, I want to achieve a goal of 2024 to one, build a house. Do I have the money right now? No. Write it on the board. Finances? No. Zero. You will not come again. How do I get finances to build a house? Number one, get a job. Number two, be a skit maker. Number three, now this is you brainstorming. You start writing these things down. Then when you're done with that, you start planning how to do it, how not to do it. Then when you're done with all these things, you now say, what happens when it doesn't fail? You will start criticizing those plans. You yourself have written, those perfect plans you had. You start scrutinizing it, criticizing it, breaking it, dissecting it. Why? So that you can see the loopholes in your plan. No plan is perfect. As you go forward, you start adjusting, you start amending, you start making necessary adjustments. Because by the time you sit down, look at the board and say, okay, this plan where I write, like say in my head, no correct, that's how I write that. You come back and write it again. Now, by so doing, what you're helping yourself to do is you are planning for the future failure. That if anything happens to this your plan, this your well thought out 5 W's and H plan, you can go back to your drawing board where you've planned for contingency. That is plan B, plan C, plan D up to Z. I'm saying all this to reduce disappointment that might lead to depression. Okay? Now, to conclude this section, what are you doing next year? What are you doing in the next 5 years? Have you thought about writing them down? Use my template, the 5 W's and H. It's a template that is mostly used for communication and journalism, but trust me, it works in planning as well. Learn to brainstorm. Carry that paper, carry that biro, carry that board, carry that marker. Write what it is you want to achieve. The year has come to an end. Even if it's not just for next year, have 2 years plan, 5 years plan, 10 years plan. Do you understand? And then if it doesn't go as planned, have a plan B to plan Z. And as you do so, I pray that your plans will come to pass, and our next year will be jolly. Thank you.